Welcome to the show. Virginia GIUFFRE has shocked the world in a recent breaking news story after she allegedly committed suicide. That's what they want us to believe. But that's not at all what happened. And in this show, which I believe is going to be possibly the most important show that we've ever done, so far, of course. It is time to show the truth about this. What really happened to her? Who is behind this? Because she did not kill herself. I can tell you that right now. We have the evidence. We know for a fact that she was taken out. And she was taken out as a message to the other women, the women who are thinking about coming forward, who may want to do the next lawsuit and get a payout from it, from their abuse, which they deserve. But they're not going to have that chance because they know if they do, this will happen to them next. That's what this is about. It's not even about Virginia fully. It is about silencing the other women. And the footage we play tonight is going to make headlines. The footage I'm about to show you, that Joe and I are about to show you, is going to change the way everyone looks at this case. That's why it's such an important show. And without further ado, go ahead and play the intro, and I'll see you back afterwards.
Take two. Cut.
Take two.
I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Right, follow me with this.
But they've been using their power to obstruct and stop justice from taking place.
Oh, hot dog, look at you. And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is.
So I don't want to wait too long. I want to get straight to the footage. I'll give a quick intro. This is Joe Oltmann. I'm Matt Wallace, and we decided to partner together to make the only news show in the world that is going to be able to provide the truth in real time. And that's a big statement, but it's something that we're going to back up. There's a reason why
cover hard topics.
Absolutely. Cover things that a lot of people aren't willing to cover. Joe's one of the most successful businessmen in the world.
Well, I don't know about that.
Easily. It's not even, easily.
I've done well.
He's done well.
Yeah.
And it's the perfect partnership, I think, because there needs to be a show that is well done, well put together, well researched. We have a great team back there. There needs to be a show where you can come and you can see all of the information, you can get all the research, know exactly what's happening, and have real truth centered around it, which is so hard to find these days. Let's go ahead and play the clip. Go ahead and play the clip of Virginia's house. This is one of the biggest groundbreaking pieces of footage that. So look at that. So this is outside of her house. Danger, and what's relevant about this is not just the fact that she has a keep out danger sign. It is the fact that this was just put up recently at her house. As of a month ago, that was not there. She didn't have a sign. So there's something as of recent that has made her scared for her life. She knew that something was coming. That footage right there says more about this case than anything else that we have seen so far. It seems mundane, but that is a very significant piece to the puzzle, because if she knew that someone was trying to kill her right now, then that would explain some of her behavior. Now, if we look at what happened to her, we saw the post. Now, if we go a little bit of timeline here, we saw the post where she said that she was hit by a bus and that she only had 4 days left to live. Of course, that ended up not being entirely true, and it was most likely her trying to see her kids because she knew that they were coming after her. So that's where we're getting into this.
Well, let's read this. Okay, so This was the post. First of all, it doesn't look like she got hit by a bus and that. And
right,
the police said that there was no injuries on the scene. None. And so this is a picture of Virginia, and it says, "This year has been the worst start to a new year. But I won't bore anyone with the details, but I think it's important to note that when a school bus driver comes at you driving 110 kilometers an hour, usually, as we were slowing for a turn, that no matter what your car is made of, it might as well be a tin can. I've gone into kidney renal failure. They've given me 4 days to live, transferring me to a specialist hospital in urology. I'm ready to go, just not until I see my babies one last time. But you know what they say about wishes? Shit in one hand and wish in the other. I guarantee it's going to be shit at the end of the day. Thank you for all being the wonderful people in my world and for being a great part of my life. God bless to all of you, Virginia." That was 4 weeks ago.
And go ahead and play the clip of Prince Andrew, because I think this is very relevant. And then we'll explain what the connection is. Yeah, play the one with audio.
How good Andrew was,
Okay, so you're gonna see as the car moves here. So they're walking around the car, and Prince Andrew is right over there. And the next clip we're gonna play shows a little more zoomed in, but you can see who he's meeting with. He's supposed to be shunned from public life, and right as this whole Virginia thing is going down, he is now starting to reemerge into public life. Now play the other clip, because it's important to see the way he looks in this clip. It's important to see how nervous he is. Because what I believe happened is, I believe he is the one responsible for her death. Whether it was from psychological manipulation to convince her to commit suicide through her husband, who is making her kids estranged from her, who is using psychological torture techniques, getting her addicted to opioids, the crash having something to do with that. Whatever it was, there's enough evidence to clearly tie Prince Andrew to this. He is the one who has the most to lose. He settled out of court. $16 million allegedly was the amount. We know he settled out of court with Virginia. She bought a nice house. She was living a relatively stable, good life at that time.
And it's $16 million is about what the settlement was. But then he escaped any sort of prosecution at all.
He was able to make it so that he no longer has to worry about being held accountable and thrown in prison for his crimes.
And he was taken away from all of his official duties years ago related to the Epstein files. And then
now he's starting to come back.
Just now, within the last 2 weeks,
I wonder
he
why.
was given part of his official duties back.
This is a message to the other women that they can't come forward. Oh, you want to get a $12 million out-of-court settlement, $16 million? It was one of those two numbers, most likely. We don't know for sure the exact amount. If you want to get that, look what's going to happen to you. This is a message to them. And furthermore, here's where it starts to get into very dicey territory. Because where did that 16 million or 12 million come from? Where did it come from? If you Google what is Prince Andrew's net worth, it's estimated at around 5 million. Now, the royal family has access to infinite funds, but what if there's something deeper here? And that's what I believe is the case. The people who are behind the scenes paying for this, the people who paid the 16 million, it wasn't Prince Andrew, I can promise you that based on the research I've done. The people who are paying it, possibly Bill Clinton, possibly other people with ties to Epstein, possibly the royal family, everyone has to be looked at here. And that is why I believe when we follow the money, we are going to be able to have multiple very powerful people finally put in prison where they belong. Prince Andrew should not be a free man right now.
Well, how many others should not be free? You know, it's on the edge of actually being put out. And keep in mind that the FBI out of the Southern District of New York had a full file on the Epstein, had the full Epstein files. And when Pam Bondi put out the infamous folders with the Kardashian dancing unicorns, she didn't have all the data. And now they refuse to give her the data for the other people that are in the public light that have perfect knowledge of being involved with not just Virginia, but others.
And I'm not above at all looking at the Trump administration directly here. Everyone can see that Trump has a good heart and he's a good man, but we're people who are friends with Trump tied to the Epstein case. I think the answer is absolutely yes, and I do believe Trump is protecting them. I do believe that.
I don't think he would, though. Remember, he was the only one. See, this is where we really have to look at the fact that he was the only one to cooperate with the FBI. Remember, the FBI went and interviewed over 100 people. And this is dating back. And the FBI agent says, no, as a matter of fact, President Trump gave me as much time as I needed. And he sat with him and answered all the questions that he had. Remember, he was the one that kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago. Banned him, banned Ghislaine Maxwell. So I don't see it. And they're doing everything they can. The left is doing everything they can to tie Epstein to President Trump.
You don't think any of Trump's donors had anything to do with Epstein Island?
Probably.
Probably.
Yeah.
And he would protect
actually,
them, right?
not just probably, yes.
But I want to go to something else, because I think what the most important thing here is that we have seen multiple Epstein victims who have committed suicide. This is not the first time it's happened. We've seen it happen multiple times before,
including Epstein
himself.
Yeah.
Who had the most information, obviously, of anyone on all of the people who were at the island. He would have taken a plea deal. He would have given people
everybody joked about it. Everybody joked about the fact that Epstein did not kill himself. I mean, that's where we're at. And now the victims are being the ones that are being put out to pasture.
Well, I want you to play the clip, Apollo, the news clip of the mom who is going through and explaining why she doesn't believe this is a different case, by the way. Someone else a few years ago who committed suicide, an Epstein victim. Go ahead and play the clip.
A wreck, because she would disappear out of shame.
Authorities declared her daughter Carolyn dead due to an overdose in May of last year. She left behind 5 children and her mother. The only person somewhat responsible was Jeffrey Epstein, who committed suicide in jail.
I couldn't even sleep in my room because I've got all Carolyn's artifacts of memories we made. And I said to my son, I said, I can't sleep in my own room. All I see is Carolyn. Who's gonna fix that?
Now that more than 150 names of persons associated with Epstein have been revealed, a sense of hope invade her, and only wishes that those responsible face justice, even though she still has to live without her daughter.
I was literally robbed. I was raped. I was literally raped. And those men need to know that. Not only did you rape our children, but you raped their mothers. It goes up a family tree. And they need to know that. They need to be held responsible for it.
It's a rage that I can't describe. Like the anger. I mean, just the sheer amount of victimology. And they're John Does, right? These are John Does. They're celebrating the release of all this information, but they're John Does. We don't get to know. We don't get to know what their names are. We don't get to publicly admonish them. We don't get to hold them accountable. We don't get to have them go to jail. Instead, Virginia looked like she got beat with a stick. Said she got hit by a car. The police reports show that nobody was injured that left the scene of the accident. And she looked like she got beat. And now she's dead. And Prince Andrew's out celebrating the fact that he's going back into public life. And Weinstein gets a new trial. Did you know that?
How many coincidences are we supposed to believe? How many are we allowed to accept? So first, obviously, this woman who doesn't seem suicidal is clearly very loved by her mom, ends up dead in Florida. Now, the same thing, it's one of many examples. How many times are people involved in this case going to mysteriously commit suicide and no one does anything? And no one does a show like this where we expose the truth and we have a call to action to start pushing authorities, to start pushing people with the power, including the Trump administration, to hold some of these individuals accountable. How many times do we put up with it before action is taken? That's what I want to know.
I think the time is now. We keep having it happen all over everywhere we look. It's another set of circumstances where they say, "Oh, it's complicated." Yeah, we can't prosecute them. It's complicated. The statute of limitations has gone by. He is in the royal family. That was the ex-president of the United States. I mean, everywhere we look, it's a set of circumstances where you have the them versus us, and they can victimize our children at will.
It's disgusting.
We talked about this last week.
Yeah.
With a child, with the masturbation and sex camp.
Which, by the way, we got that for now.
Shut down.
Yeah. We called it out on the show. We made posts about it, and we officially got the sex camp for children that they were publicly pushing online. We got it shut down. They're no longer going to be carried. Now, that doesn't mean the battle's over yet. Not even close.
No, University of Colorado, though, is the one that sanctioned it. University of Colorado, Boulder campus sanctioned a sex camp where, by the way, they called parents, what are they called? Caregivers?
Caregivers.
And said at the end of the camp, for 5th graders, 10-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds. At the end of the camp, they get to show off their new skills using dental dams. I had to look that up.
I did too, by the way.
Which is a piece of plastic, I guess, that you put in your butthole so you don't get crap in your mouth while you're giving someone oral. I'm not kidding. This is what they want to put in front of our 10-year-old children. And it's sanctioned by a school, a university.
And they think they can publicly brag about it and talk about it without any consequences, without anything. They're going to keep their jobs, by the way. It's not, they may be canceling this one show. They still have their jobs.
Yeah. Well,
it really is. It makes your stomach churn. It is the most disgusting form of evil. And what they're doing there is the same thing they've been doing to kids on Epstein Island, the same thing they did to Virginia, to Caroline, to all of the people who are currently in heaven, because they've been killed off by this regime of evil individuals who care more about protecting themselves and perpetrating the same rings of child sex rings that they've been doing for decades. It's not even, the thing is, it's not even done now. It is still happening as we speak. There are powerful people who are currently getting away with it. And the only way that we can stop them is by shining light on it and having these people arrested.
And loading up on guns and ammo?
And loading up on guns and ammo. You have to.
But they said that she committed suicide. But remember, she went back, if you go back in time, she actually said, this is a tweet from 2019. We should put this up. She actually said, I am making it publicly known that in no way, shape, or form am I suicidal. I have made this known to my therapist and GP. If something happens to me, in the sake of my family, do not let this go away and help me to protect them. Too many evil people want to see me quieted.
I'm going to read that one more time because I think we need to read this twice. She is saying, quote, in no way, not in one way, not in a few ways, in no way, shape, or form am I suicidal. And not just that, but she expresses a clear love for her family and a clear desire to be there for them. Is that someone, Joe, that you think is suicidal? Is that someone who's going to take their own life? Is that someone who's going to do that? No.
But they don't care. They can get away with and say whatever they want. Even her lawyer is shocked about the alleged suicide, saying that she showed no signs of suicidal ideation in the days before her death.
And we have a picture of her, by the way. We have a picture of her that was from not long before her death. And I want you to look at her and pull up the picture of her sitting next to her brother. I think we have that in the slide deck, but there's a picture of her sitting next to her brother and
just a few days
man a few days before. And she looks happy. She looks totally normal. She's clearly spending time with them. It doesn't make any sense for her to then just commit suicide. She has 3 kids. One of them is 16 years old. She has a deep love for them. She's not going to take her own life and do that to them.
But here's the bigger one, Matt. Here's the bigger one.
Yeah.
They haven't told us how she committed suicide.
They've been trying to keep this. There were some reports that just came out while you were in your meeting that suggested that it was opioids that caused her to die. But they haven't released the pictures.
You mean like the woman that we just talked about whose daughter died from an overdose as well? So now she died from an overdose?
Yeah, so now both of them allegedly died from an overdose. And by the way, this just came out. So it's breaking news that she was, so that they claim, and there's a picture, by the way. You can see she looks happy in that picture. And by the way, the shirt of her brother, who's in the red shirt, we did a little digging into that. Probably just a coincidence. I don't think it's tied, but that is a mythical figure that represents depression in women, particularly in moms. And he's wearing the shirt. It's a little bit ominous. Because that's her brother, I don't think there's anything there. But the guy sitting next to her on the other side is also someone who we're taking a look at because he's an unknown in this investigation.
There's a bunch of unknowns.
A bunch of unknowns. It looks to me, based on that picture, like that is who she is currently dating. I would guess. Now we don't have any evidence of that. There's nothing that said what that picture was of, but I would guess that. And
the one on the right is her brother.
On the right, yep. The red shirt's her brother. The pink shirt, we don't know for sure, but they seemed pretty close. It seemed like either family or someone she was dating, possibly.
You know the sad part about this? Do we have a video here of? Yeah, we do. They might both be her brothers. I thought she only had one brother. Because we're going to get to. Yeah,
and the reason why her family was there was because she was fearing for her life. The reason
which she said she said she was.
Yep. Like how obvious can this be? How obvious are they making it? And by the way, I want to make a very important point clear. They know this woman like the back of their hand. They know what makes her tick. That's why they recruited her in the first place and victimized her and made her and trafficked her. They know how to get in her mind. And I don't want to put it past people the possibility that they are able to convince these women through psychological manipulation to overdose. That's something I want to put that out there because
I don't think that happened here though.
I agree.
I don't think
it happened in this case.
I don't think, there's a convenience that happens in a drug overdose. It takes like a grain of sand of fentanyl to overdose.
All they have to do is find a connection to someone who's providing anyone with drugs. If you have any substance that you use in any capacity, even if it's just an opioid to deal with pain from being beat up by your husband, which she was.
But look at all the stuff, Matt. Look at all the stuff that she went through in her life. I've been through a lot in my life. And at no point do I ever feel like all of that, like what I'm going through today, would even hold a candle to the stuff that I've gone through in my life. And after reading her memoir, which I guess it's not a memoir, it's an ideation of everything that happened to her since the time that she was 13 years old, which I think we're going to get into. But after reading that,
72 pages long. The most horrible things you can imagine someone going through, 70 pages long of that.
Is this a video of her attorney? Or is that just a picture? Apollo?
I think that's...
It is just a picture? Okay. Whew.
Have you seen the clip of the other woman who was victimized by Epstein? She posted a clip stating extremely clearly that she is not suicidal. And I think we have to look at her because this is looking very similar. Unfortunately, I believe they're going to try to get this woman next. Apollo, if you could pull that clip up, go ahead and play the clip. Listen very closely to her words on this because I would not, I hate to say this, but I think we may be covering this story next. She needs to be making sure every single bit of possible security measure that she can take within her means is taken because she absolutely is the next target, I believe. Play the clip.
My name is Julia Bryant and I live in Cape Town, South Africa. I was kidnapped by Jeffrey Epstein 20 years ago. I am not suicidal and I never ever will be. I also do not do any drugs. I met Epstein when he was in Africa with Bill Clinton. We all know about the Clinton body count. Another concerning fact is that one of the main women, a very brave angel, Carolyn, who testified against Ghislaine Maxwell, was found dead 6 months ago. It wasn't in the media until a few days ago. The only reason it was put in the media was because of a very, very brave Epstein victim. She doesn't want to be named. But there are other Epstein victims who've also died suspiciously. Carolyn was a beautiful, amazing, brave woman who planned a life on a chicken farm with her family. Instead, she was found dead in a hotel room. I want to speak out for safety and for other victims because it's very frightening when the media won't cover any of the victims' stories. A lot of my story hasn't been told in the media, and it's the same with a lot of other victims. And we actually all feel quite frightened with everything that's been going on. And as we know, This is not the first suspicious death related to the evil Maxwell empire. They also used to run the media. So maybe that's why victim stories are not being told to the media, and the victims of Epstein feel very frightened. Please all pray for Carolyn's family. And thank you for listening.
Carolyn.
I mean, imagine being in her world. How do you think she feels every time she goes to sleep at night, wondering if she's going to wake up the next day or if they're going to poison her while she's sleeping? How do you think she feels knowing that at any point in time, someone could walk around the corner and they could make it look like a robbery or something and she could lose her life? And she knows that the people who she's up against are capable of such great evil that they wouldn't even blink an eye at her death. And that's to be in her position is terrifying. And it's not just her. There's many women who aren't even willing to make public videos, who are in that same very scared position, many of which don't even get any public news coverage when they die.
And you have the Carolyn woman that testified against Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yep.
And Ghislaine Maxwell has her case set for an appeal. And now the woman that testified in that is dead.
You know, it reminds me of when Hillary Clinton was about to potentially be fully exposed, and then all of a sudden a bomb goes and hits a building and all the documents are destroyed. It is the same level of evil that is right now silencing people like Carolyn. And silencing people like Virginia, even Epstein, taking him out. There's a force.
Do you think Epstein's
that's
dead?
More than capable? Do I think Epstein's dead? We don't know. But think about how easy it would be to fake his death. With the money, the resources they had, they tell him, hey, Jeffrey, we're going to get you out of prison. You're not going to have to testify. And all you have to do is just hide for the rest of your life, and we'll get you out. Yeah, I think I wouldn't put it, not only would I not put it past them, I would say the probability of that is close to 50%. 50% chance that he's dead right now.
You know, I don't, this was a hard show for me because there's so many things. If we look at Virginia is just an example of what these people have gotten away with. Seth Rich, shot in the back. First person that showed up to the hospital was the mayor of Washington, D.C. Before anyone else knew. The mayor was at the hospital when he arrived. He died. Tied again to Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Clinton Foundation, the DNC, Jeffrey Epstein. We talk about and I'm going to bring it all together if I can outside of it. This just came to me just sitting here. It doesn't matter if you're on the Republican side or the Democrat side. There's a fraternity that's been built. And so killing off people like Virginia, they're just an acceptable casualty. I don't know how else to look at it.
The most disturbing thing to me is knowing that most of the casualties, most of the victims will never get to speak out because their life was taken from them in the most disgusting way possible when they were still children. Most of the people who are on the victim list never got a chance to even experience adulthood, never had anyone to look out for them, were abducted and put into a trafficking ring at an early age to the point that they weren't even able to be tracked, many of them from other countries, many of them in situations where they had no chance of escape because that was all they ever knew. And then before they are able to get older, have the ability to escape, their life is taken. And that has happened and is still happening at such an alarming rate that it makes me want to scream. It makes me want to take every single person who's responsible for this and do things that I can't even say on this show right now. That's what I want to do.
So there was an article that was put out, and this was in the Mirror in the UK. Virginia Giuffre's marriage to husband who rescued her from Epstein before split. Victim of pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. Virginia reportedly split from her husband of 2 decades, who she credits for saving her from Epstein's wrath before her death.
Yeah, that's a crazy story. So what happened there is Virginia Giuffre was told by Epstein and by Ghislaine that she was supposed to go and recruit more people. And I believe it was where was it again that she was told? It was the Philippines. She was told to go to the Philippines or Thailand. Yeah, Thailand. One of the countries where it's basically legal.
It was in her 72-page deal.
Prostitutes. That's in Thailand. In the Philippines, it's legal. You can go there, and a lot of rich people from America go there and do that. But that's why she was sent there. She was supposed to be recruiting new massagists to come in and work for Epstein and Ghislaine. And while she was there, she ended up meeting who would become her husband of 22 years. They would have 3 kids together, stay together for a very long time. And now all of a sudden, in today's day and age, there's a restraining order that's being filed from the husband. And he's trying to cover up the fact that he was allegedly abusing her in January and since before then, and likely was the one who caused the bruises on her face. They lived near each other in different houses. He was in a $1.9 million mansion and further into the city. She was in a more expensive estate with horses that was further out, and she was being kept away from her kids. She was being psychologically manipulated even up until the point of her death and not allowed to see her children.
What's even more disturbing about this article is that it goes through and it protects people like Prince Andrew. And it says that they has always vehemently denied the allegations. In 2022, the Duke reached out of court settlement in New York with Virginia worth a reported 12 million euros. The agreement did not admit liability. Who writes a check for $16 million if they did nothing wrong?
Who writes a check for $16 million if they did nothing wrong? Nobody. Nobody. You don't do that. Does. And it's not like he completely avoided any public scrutiny over this. It was already public. He was already getting criticized for it. So you definitely, if it's already public, you don't pay $6. I mean, maybe I could see him having paid off other women and we never heard about the story because of that. But for it to be this public already and him still to be willing to pay that large of a sum of money out of court, it has to mean, and it does mean, that not only is he guilty, but it points the finger directly at him. And we saw him acting nervous a few days ago on camera, trying to come back to public life. It means not only
right before she died. It
means not only was he likely responsible for her death, he probably is the one who made the order to take her out. He probably has made the order on multiple others that we don't even know about. But on top of that, it shows almost unequivocally that he's way more guilty than even what we are allowed to know. Virginia wasn't even allowed to say everything because of the case. She was silenced. Couldn't continue to talk about it. Paid money. And now he's walking free and going back to the events. One of the most evil, sickest monsters on the planet is able to stand there in some of these extremely luxurious settings and enjoy a life that most people can only dream of. How disgusting is that?
Well, it's actually more disgusting, but this just gets to the fact that she had no ideation. She wasn't looking to kill herself. It always is something like opioids that you can't, did she ingest them? Did she inject them? I mean, how is it that she was, and you can't put it to rest. It's as if they don't want it to put it to rest.
Right.
But she put out this post a few weeks before her death regarding her children. Look, there are powerful things that will keep you here. Super powerful things. The most powerful thing that'll keep you here is your children.
Absolutely.
She said, "My beautiful babies have no clue how much I love them, and they're being poisoned with lies. I miss them so very much. I've been through hell and back in my 41 years. But this is incredibly hurting me worse than anything else. Hurt me, abuse me, but don't take my babies. My heart is shattered, and every day that passes, my sadness only deepens."
And look, and there's a picture of them too, by the way. That's one of her daughters in the picture. And you can also see one of her sons as well in the picture. She had two. She had one daughter and two sons. That's her daughter. That's one of her sons.
She was scheduled to appear in court for an alleged break of a restraining order. I guess she violated the restraining order that she had against her ex-husband.
So her ex-husband. So this is where it gets into the really creepy, insane details. So her ex-husband was believed to be viciously beating her. By the way, he's a Taekwondo instructor, someone who's very capable of hurting physically, especially a woman, but he would be capable of doing that to most men. And he's attacking her viciously based on what she claims, based on the reports. We don't know for sure the extent of it or if that is true or not, but if we are to take her at her word, he was viciously attacking her and then tried to manipulate the situation by filing a restraining order against her to stop her from seeing her kids instead of her doing that to him. This is someone who has been victimized by every person who has ever been in her life for the most part. It is disgusting. And it has resulted in her having to be silent, first of all, accepting the paycheck over continuing to go after him, second of all, and third of all, now in her death.
You know, the most frustrating part about all of this is that, did you finish reading the 72 pages?
I read most of it. I couldn't believe what it was in. It was hard to stomach some of the stuff that she put, and you can tell she wasn't lying about it. You don't write 72 pages in that much graphic detail. And by the way, we're gonna put that for everyone to read.
Yeah,
right?
we'll put it up for everyone to read. This was an exhibit that she had in her lawsuits.
There are some pages that I couldn't read because
it's unbelievable.
Like I will go back and read it all, but I just I wouldn't have been able to sleep last night if I continued to read some of those pages. That's how disgusting and graphic what she describes is more than she's willing to say on the news. That document shows the full detail of what these people are capable of, including Prince Andrew.
All right, so here's some things that none of you actually know. I mean, Matt, you know this, but you're going to hear something that none of you knew. Okay? Epstein wasn't the first person to victimize her. It goes back to when she was 7 years old and she was victimized by people in her family. Then at 13 years old, she's on the street and a limousine pulls up and she gets trafficked by a guy that opens the door. She's hungry. She's living on the street. She's a runaway. She had already been in group homes, a part of the foster care system. And he opens the door and lets her in. And there's a beautiful woman sitting next to this disgusting old dude. This is well documented. 13 years old. So for about a year, she was victimized by him, this guy Ron. And when Ron was done with her, because she called one of her friends, one of her 13-year-old friends, he loads up the girls in the car because he had a whole harem. And this is after he had sexually abused her in ways that we can't even put on the show. Now we're gonna publish it for you, so you guys are gonna have the ability to read all of it. We're gonna publish the entire thing. You probably should download it. You should download it because they're going to take it down.
Absolutely, that you need to download it. Even if you're not going to read it right now, you should read it right now. I'm going to continue. I'm going to finish the pages I didn't read, but you need to download it before they take it away because I believe it's going to be blocked. I believe they're going to do everything they can to hide this, to hide the details around the Virginia GIUFFRE case. They're going to make sure that there's no pictures of her body that get released. They're going to make sure. No chance. If we see that, I would be shocked. And if they do, it'll probably be doctored somehow.
Okay, I just put it in there. You can hit the download button on it, on Rumble. I'll drop it in on X as well. If you're on one of the other channels and you're on Untamed Nation, you're watching it, you can watch it there. I'm just going to drop it onto X.
I'll post a link to it too later if you want to go to my X account, or Joe, we can put it on your X account too.
But bro, this is my problem. You ready? 13 years old. This, by the way, is why I can tell you right now, it is so prevalent across the entire United States. You have universities that are trying to groom, indoctrinate, rape, molest, masturbate with inside of universities, recruiting 10, 11, 12, 13-year-olds.
Who do you think's going to be, or would have been if it wasn't canceled, at that sex camp for kids? Who do you think there would have been the next Jeffrey Epstein, or one of the other Jeffrey
100%.
Epsteins, we should say? Would he have been there
100%.
watching that and saying, let me pick which of these adolescents who are clearly troubled and traumatized should I pick next? Which of them has the ability for me to traffic them and manipulate them psychologically next?
How about parents that are the Jeffrey Epstein that decide to show up to this deal so that they can watch little kids use sex toys on themselves? Or they said that the caregivers and the children can participate together.
How they're going to demonstrate a dental dam with the parents?
Yes, that's what they said.
Like, think about that. Like, what the? I mean, they are. I'm just going to put it this way: they are very, very, very lucky that they chose to cancel that, because what would have happened on that day probably wouldn't have been very pretty. With the amount of anger that people have for seeing kids continue to be victimized, it would not have been pretty at all.
Okay, but here's how you know that it's prevalent across our society. It's like this hidden deal. It is an underground that is so prevalent in all of our leaders. The judiciary filled with it. Filled. Our leaders at every level.
Most.
I mean, it's not hard to catch them. You could honeypot anyone. I honeypotted somebody just because I wanted to see if they were dirty. Turns out they were. So, and it took me no time at all. But here's how I know. Here's how I know for a fact, Matt. I know for a fact that Virginia is just a symbol of something so much larger, because she was saved at 14 years old by SWAT that came into that home after she had been raped over and over and over and abused over and over and over again, and passed down from Ron to this other guy. And she details the things that they did to her. And the FBI swooped in, grabbed her up, and within 2 years, guess where she was? First of all, they threw her in a home, put handcuffs on her, locked her up, made the victim actually the one that they wanted to make sure that they held.
Yep.
Afterwards, it's 14 years old. 14 years old. She got abused at her house at 7. She's on the street at 13, gets picked up, gets abused every night, and fed alcohol and drugs every night for a year, over a year. And the FBI comes in, rescues her, and then takes the rescue and puts her in cuffs and locks her up. She had to break out of that to run back to her home, only to get put right back into it by her father. Man, I'm a dad. I'm going to tell you right now, if somebody did that to my daughter, if somebody even remotely did something like that to my daughter, I would unalive them. And it wouldn't even be, I'm not even sure I would do it fast.
There's nothing that should anger anyone more than something happening to one of your kids. And there are people, unfortunately, who are so morally corrupt in our society that they seem to not even value that, the thing that should be valued most. If I'm on the same page with you. I have 2 little girls, three when you include the one that's about to be born, who is still a life, who is right now alive. That's not a non, that is a baby. I have 3 babies right now. And I can tell you, if anyone even came close to trying to put, even so much as put them in one of those seminars, if their school tried to have someone come in and give them an education when they are in school, they're not yet. Maybe we'll never put them in school.
How do you?
That's the thing. How can we know that at the top level, the institutions and the educational systems are trying to brainwash our kids and abuse them and set them up to be in positions like Virginia Giuffre? How can we send them knowing that that's what the system is designed to put out in so many cases, unfortunately? How can we?
I'm not sure we can.
This is supposed to be a good country.
And the story gets worse. I mean, the 72 pages is, it reads as a nightmare that she had to replay every day. So and everyone's out there talking about it. Everyone else they're talking about saying there's no way she killed herself.
She definitely did not kill herself. You don't have a 16-year-old child and kill yourself like that. It doesn't matter how many things you've been through, how traumatized you are. This is someone who loved her children, and she's not going to do that, period.
So here's the other thing, is that she finally came out and said she'd been abused. So she's in a 20-year marriage. She has 3 beautiful kids. She's married to a guy that she met in Thailand. Now, she was sent there to learn the art of masseuse, was supposed to recruit people to come back to Epstein. And she finally comes out and says, all right, he's been abusing me too. It's like she fell in from one trap to another trap to another trap to another trap.
When you are victimized as a child, there's something in your brain that makes you extremely insecure. It makes you unable to fully process what love is. It makes you the perfect person to be victimized in the future. And that's what's so unfortunate about them doing this to children, is that it changes them forever and gives them an entire life of being victimized for the most part, because they don't know how to resist. They don't know how to go away. They were never taught love or compassion, and they accept a brutal reality that is forced upon them because they know no other world.
Imagine having that be your life, though, right? I mean, imagine that's the life that you were meant to live.
It's awful. And it's one of the reasons, actually, that treatment of kids and the victimization and the exposure to so many things that are extremely inappropriate for children to see is one of the reasons why right now we have one of the highest rates of depression medication anywhere in the world. And we are setting records for our own country for how many people right now are having to use, or at least are told they have to use, because really it's not ever good for you. Never use that. But they're told they have to use depression medication in order to have a mentally stable state of being. It's everywhere.
I was looking through, trying to look at the pages where it walks through and details the abuse. And it leads me down to the fact that
Yeah, can you put that up on the screen, Apollo?
Yeah, this is a big one. This is a judge.
The judge rules the lawyers must destroy the Epstein files, because I think that right there shows what's been happening. That's how these people are able to get away with it, is that they use the legal system. They're friends with the lawyers. They're friends with the judges. And they use it as a weapon to hide evidence and to continue to perpetrate evil crimes.
You know, I know this all too well. Dominion voting systems, Eric Coomer. Same thing. Same thing. You have files inside of the Byrne case that prove that they're actually, again, they're the demonic people that stole elections in our country. And I know it's not the same thing as someone losing their life and being victimized, but the same thing happens, and that judges stand as the judge, jury, and executioner that dole out consequences and basically commit whatever crime they want. But in this article, just go through it, and this is from 2020. We take a couple of excerpts from this. Given the concerns raised by the government and the avoid any possibility that information in the subject materials might be used for an improper purpose or in a manner that could be claimed to interfere with the government's investigation, the court concludes that the most prudent course of the juncture is to grant the relief requested by the government. So I just want to point this out really quick so you guys understand. The government asked that these files be destroyed. The government came in and said, the United States government came in and said, we have an investigation. We know that they have access to these files. We need them to destroy them. It doesn't appear that the subject matter contains private information. Excuse me, the subject matter contained private information, not only about Epstein, Maxwell, and the plaintiff, but also about other individuals, including apparent victims of Epstein whose identities may or not be publicly known. The court recognizes the plaintiff's counsel obtained the subject materials lawfully through a protective order issued by another court, and that plaintiff's counsel has represented that they have maintained the materials in confidence. Are you fucking kidding me? We can't get to the bottom of it and just say, hey, look, you got rapists over here and you got people that perpetrate against victims over here. But instead, we get kabuki theater.
The government is protecting them. The government that's supposed to be putting them in prison and protecting the children is protecting the pedophiles and putting the children in handcuffs.
Yeah. Which, by the way, if you read the 72 pages, they put Virginia in handcuffs. They put her in handcuffs.
They took her freedom instead of her abuser's freedom.
Can we get back to Carolyn real quick? So Carolyn Adriano, her testimony in the Ghislaine Maxwell's case put her behind bars. And she was found dead in a hotel room a couple years ago. Now, we heard from her mom, who said that she's been victimized. She left behind 5 children. Yeah.
5 children that are going to be devastated that they lost their mom, and we're supposed to believe it was a suicide. We're supposed to believe she did that on purpose to them.
No, I mean, but it happens to every one of them. It's like the Bill Clinton, what is it? The Bill Clinton CPA who hung himself from a tree and shot himself in the head. It's like the Greenberg case, Ellen Greenberg. Ellen Greenberg out of Pennsylvania. A school teacher that was stabbed 20 times. One that severed her spine. A second one that went straight through her heart and severed her aorta. Either one of those would have killed her. But somehow she stabbed herself in the heart, then went behind her back and stabbed herself in the neck. And they took it from homicide to suicide.
20 times.
20 times. The husband in that case, Greenberg, was friends with guess who? Guess who he's friends with?
Oh, no. I know.
Everyone, listen, this is not hyperbolic. This is absolute truth.
Josh Shapiro, the governor, currently.
Who was the AG at the time.
Yep.
Who was the AG at the time. So the attorney general at the time, where his friend's wife, nobody broke and entered. There was no signs of forced entry. The husband supposedly opened the door, said that he had someone with him. Years later, the person that said he was with him says, I was nowhere around. I was nowhere near this guy. The parents of Ellen Greenberg, go look it up. Pennsylvania, Ellen Greenberg, murdered, and for 14 years, the court upheld that it was suicide. Hours went by from the time that the husband walked in the door until the time that they called the police. He didn't call the police first. He first called his dad and he called his friend. And guess what? He's still walking around, Matt. He's still walking around.
So is Josh Shapiro.
So is Josh Shapiro, who now wants to run for president.
And who has, based on polling averages, a chance to become the nominee, a high chance to become the nominee of the Democrat Party.
He's a psychopath. You're talking about a psychopath at levels that are just not, it's organized crime. That's really what's happening here. Epstein's he's just another pawn in this game. Epstein was the guy that collected dirt so that he could go out and manipulate how things were voted on. We don't have a leadership system. We have to tear it all down. And you know what else? Here's what President Trump had to say when he was reporting back about Virginia's death. And this was pretty curious. This is a little bit different. Let's go ahead and play that.
Do you have a reaction to Virginia GIUFFRE suicide in Australia?
Well, it's a very sad situation, the whole thing. That whole situation is very sad, her and others. And so certainly that's a horrible thing. Horrible.
Her and others. Why don't you do something about it, Trump? I mean, at least he's willing to say. How many presidents are willing to say on camera to call that out? You have to respect that Trump is willing to go out there and publicly bring attention to the fact that these women continue getting killed off. He did it in a careful way. He didn't say it directly, but he was pointing in that clip very clearly to the pattern of suicides that have surrounded the Epstein case for the greater part of a decade.
Yeah. I want everybody to read the 72 pages. Read what Virginia said. And we keep talking about justice. Tina Peters is still in jail. Right? Bad people. There's not one person that's been arrested. Not one person. Not one person has been tried with treason for what happened in 2020, 2022, and 2024. The guy that offered a bribe to Carrie Lake for not to run for office again, he's still walking around. No problem. 10, 20, $30 million. You can make a bribe to a person that is trying to be an elected official and no investigation. Not into the people that actually gave them the information. There's not one, we still have machines and mail-in ballots. Not one bit of evidence that we have across the entire board has come to light where a court has nodded its head and said, yes, this is what's happening. Because the entire fucking system is designed to do what they did to Virginia. And I'm sorry about my language. At least you only have 2 bleeps today.
It's not too bad. It's rare that I see Joe get angry enough to use language like that. That doesn't happen a lot.
No. When do we get justice as people? When do the laws start being followed? When do we have a chance to, as a society, have peace, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness? And can we have any of that without force? Can we have any of that without hurting the people that are hurting people in our community? Can we? And this is a serious question. What happened to Virginia? What happened to her? And don't tell me it's a suicide if you're not going to tell us exactly. Then give us all the details. But you hide the details because you know it's not a suicide.
I need to see the camera footage that was put up. I need to see pictures. God forbid, it sucks even thinking that we even have to do that, but we need to see the pictures. We need to see the camera footage. We need to know about her whereabouts and her decisions in the final hours. And I can guarantee you the amount of that I just mentioned that's going to be released is either going to be minimal or it's going to be very slow, and it's going to be done a long time after it is in the news, so they can avoid the public scrutiny that will come along with it.
I'm going to read this because Jeff said this. And Jeff, by the way, has been a long-time listener. Joe, my parents denied. They couldn't handle the truth. It took 55 years for them to accidentally slip and admit what they happened to me. Wow. I raised my kids, and they're 28 and 25 now. And they are amazing. And I thank God every day that neither one of them that this was even something that could have happened in their lives, that anybody could have abused them, because it wasn't even possible. And you would say, Joe, were you a helicopter dad? And I would say, nah, not really. I let them experience life. But I taught them from a young age how to fight. I taught them from a young age, these are the things you have to watch out for. Nobody gets to come near you, and if it even seems odd, you need to tell me. There was never a time that my kids were not honest with me. Actually, that's not true. My daughter lied to me once. I was pissed. But they didn't have to go through it. But I look at how many people have had to go through it. And then what Jeff just said is interesting. He said that denied. And what is the public doing to us? What is the public doing to us on not just Virginia, but Caroline? What he's doing to us with not just Epstein, but Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton,
John Podesta,
the pizza parties, Pizzagate, Seth Rich.
We can, we just
Eric Coomer,
put a list of every single
Charles Kane. I can go down the list. There's a reason why all of the stuff that's in front of us, there's a reason why they could just deny. Because when it comes down to it, Prince Andrew could just say, I'm not saying I did anything because I've denied it vehemently. And then the media.
The files have been destroyed. He didn't do anything, apparently. According to the government, they destroyed all the files.
And now Virginia's dead. On the heels of information being released. And keep in mind, and this is what I want everybody to understand about this in particular. And that's why we put up the stuff about the case itself and destroying the evidence, is that who knew where that evidence was or what that evidence was other than Virginia and her attorney. So whatever evidence comes out with Epstein, do you actually believe that you're actually getting access to all the Epstein files? And here's the other thing. Was the CIA involved? Was the FBI involved? The FBI took her from one situation to another. She wasn't trafficked once. She was trafficked twice, 3 times. And she was victimized over and over and over again. And the FBI does nothing. They don't arrest people. They don't hold judges accountable for what they've done. They don't hold demons and it should be illegal to do what they did in University of Colorado, to openly say you're going to molest and masturbate with little kids. It should be illegal.
It should be punishable by a significant prison sentence.
Death. It should be punishable by death. If you abuse a child, you should die. You should die. You rape a child, you should be immediately put to death. You should not get 3 meals a day. I wouldn't even give you 1. And you can say, Joe, that's harsh. That child will grow up to have to go through what Virginia went through, where people can just deny. They don't have to face the facts. They don't have to face what they did. They don't have to have consequences. They're part of this elite group that can do whatever the hell they want to do to children and people in our community. And they can have judges victimize them and say, delete all this stuff. And lawyers stand up there and argue for the fact that their people are doing things to hurt people in our community. And then they can dole out consequences and create deserts and food deserts and opportunity deserts and education deserts. They can do whatever they want because they're the ones that run the show, while all of us have to bow down and say, here's our money. They should die. That should be the consequence. That's not my vengeance, that's consequence. They should die. That's how I feel.
And just to be clear, that's not a call to violence. That's not a call for anyone in the audience to go and do that. But I mean, Joe's right. There have to be serious consequences in place, or we will continue to have child victims like Virginia. We will continue to have a society that props up the pedos while taking down and cutting down and hurting and driving to the edge the victims. And that's not okay. That's not acceptable.
I want to tell a story, if I can. And this is why it's so important to do shows like this, where we uncover the fact that Virginia Giuffre was not.
She wasn't killed. She didn't commit suicide. She was killed. Yeah.
But let me just tell you how powerful it is to get an opportunity to be able to have other people share with other people in our community. So I want to go through this comment real quick. The Soap Queen says, I was abused sexually at age 7. My kids never went to sleepovers unless it was at my house. I didn't tell my parents until I was 25. My dad tried to find him. I'm sorry. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about something maybe that's progress, because this isn't progress, and we shouldn't allow Virginia to die and say, "Oh, it's settled. She committed suicide. It's settled." We shouldn't allow it. And as a father, we shouldn't allow pedophiles or schools to groom children. And back.
Gabe! Dude, Gabe, something's in the dumpster.
Whoa, what is that for?
Something's in the dumpster, man.
Well, let's use the burner. We don't want to wake the neighbors. Freeze! Stop resisting!
Stop resisting!
If you're looking for a less than lethal option for self-defense or keeping pests out of your dumpster, then check out Byrna at DCF Guns. Visit us at our 3 locations in Castle Rock or Colorado Springs, or visit us online at dcfguns.com.
Come join the DCF family today, where we keep the range hot and the deals hotter. In every thread, in every stitch, Honor-Bound USA weaves the fabric of the American spirit. It's not just apparel, it's a testament to God, family, and country. At Honor-Bound USA, we're a family of patriots who put our faith, family, and America first. When you visit our website, you'll find a line of products that embody our commitment to pray, stand, speak, and act. As the official site for the Untamed podcast, all of our products proclaim speaking the truth with courage. We also have the powerful documentary from Professor David Clements, Let My People Go. Identify yourself as one of the few who are willing to stand for what they believe in. Join the Honor-Bound USA family today. Wear it as a badge of honor, commitment to the values that shape us, and a pledge to the bright future we will build together. Because when you're honor-bound, you're not just wearing a brand, you're embodying a lifestyle. Yeah, so we're gonna Matt and I talked. We actually don't want to talk about anything else other than this. We want to just kind of close it out, and it's hard to see the comments from some people that have been affected.
But it means a lot that we're able, by us taking a stand right now and doing so publicly, we're able to, for victims who are watching right now, we're able to hopefully give you some assurance that you're not alone, that you do have people who are fighting for you and who are fighting for other kids and who are going to do everything that we can together collectively as a community, all of us, to protect you and to protect other children, because that is the only thing that can make it even a little bit better. That's the only thing that can help even slightly. And we don't have a choice.
We do have to be courageous. Men need to be men. And I'm not just talking about the thing with Virginia, but we've allowed pedophilia to infiltrate our society under the guise of you have to accept it because it's LGQBD, whatever, right? We've allowed pedophilia to go into our schools. We've allowed them to hang flags that promote pedophilia. We've allowed them to create freak shows and have Satan clubs. And we didn't stand up. We're still not standing up. We're still not protecting our children. We're still not protecting society. We're still allowing judges to abuse us and leaders to lie, and stealing of elections and taxing us to death and taking away our rights and ignoring laws while pressing others. We're still allowing it to happen. Like we are still not the people that we were set out to, that started this country. We're not those people. We're not the ones that said, that we ran on to the shores of Normandy and decided that we were going to fight for something and be willing to give everything for it. We're not those people right now. And so Virginia gets to get killed. Carolyn gets to get killed. Ghislaine Maxwell gets a new trial. Weinstein gets a new trial. The victims get to be created a victim again by a society that won't make a decision on ethics and morals. And the church walks away from it. And so, no, I'm not okay with this. And I'm willing to say this. If you're listening to this show, you have to be willing to stand up. You have to be willing to call these people what they are, which are pedophiles and rapists, because that's what they are. Oh, you have to because I'm a transgender. I don't care what you are. You could be a pink dinosaur. I don't care. But when you hurt children, you victimize them and then you make them the victim. Yeah, that's when it all just comes to an
end. This is a tough show. This has been a tough show. I wasn't expecting it to be this hard, honestly, because like to have to visit and see firsthand what's happening to children is just, it's so hard to stomach. It's so hard to think about because most of us can't even imagine anything like that being real. And yet we have to look at it directly in the eyes and talk about it and see what these people really went through, something that you're not supposed to even be allowed to see. It's so unbelievably difficult to do. And it makes you want to run away, but we can't. We can't run away.
Yeah. I want to pray us out. Yeah. I'll start by saying this. I've always said you have to pray first, stand up, speak, and then act. And I still believe in that. But I'm not sure that, God forgive me. I'm not sure that I'm to the place where the consequence that I wouldn't just want to take out all the wrath on someone that would hurt a child. Oh, I'm just built different, I guess. All right. Father God, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today and to talk about something that is so diabolical, but yet so important. Father, thank you for those people that are listening and those people that have been moved to do, not just to speak, but to also to stand up and to act, to protect not only the victims that are still here, but the victims that have lost their lives because of really evil people that have taken them and taken what is not theirs. Father, we're thankful for the ability that we have to have courage and to act in that courage. And we're thankful, Father, for the good leaders that we do have that are making a difference in the fog of all of the evil that they have to face at nearly every level of government. Father, I just ask that you heal those that are listening that have been victimized, that you give them peace. Father, I ask that if it's a bold blessing, that the people that are responsible for creating these victims and abusing children, if I had my way, I would say just strike them down with lightning in the middle of a sunny day. And I know that's probably not the right way to think, Father, but I'm just telling you that's what I'm thinking. But Father, I just ask that it be exposed and that the Epstein lists and all the information gets put out there and that we get an opportunity to hold bad people accountable for doing bad things to very small people, small children. Father, help us that we may fight against this pedophilia and what they're doing to our children inside of the school system. And help us, Father, we may recapture every part of our society and drive the evil, drive the devils into the hole that they came out of. Help us, Father, that we may stand together, set aside petty differences, set aside Democrat and Republican and all that stuff, and just get to a place where we can settle in on what morals are, not call it politics, because it's not politics, it's morals, it's ethics. It's what drives society. And help the churches, Father, whatever denomination they are, that they may start speaking out and stop this feckless cowardice that seems to have consumed every part of faith. Help us, Father, that we may find good examples. We may stand up those examples. We may do the right thing. I ask these things, Father, humbly in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right. We will, we'll see you guys. We'll see you. Shout out to Stacy. Oh yeah. Stacy's now a monthly supporter. Thank you, Stacy, for supporting us.
Thank you, Stacy.
Appreciate you.
And we will, the reason why we decided to make this show is because we were not hearing anyone who was out there fighting in the way that they need to be. And that there needs to be a presence where we are able to not only call out what is happening, but to have a plan of action. That is why this show is extremely important. That is why we are going to be here, no matter how we're feeling, every single weekday at 4 p.m. Eastern time. And we are going to do a show, and we are going to have all of the information, all of the news, but we are going to do it in a way that calls for action, in a way that is brave in the face of these evil monsters, and in a way that is going to continue to grow. As we grow, our ability to influence the world and make it better does as well.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Yeah.
And that's why everyone who's supporting, everyone who's here, everyone who's being part of it, you are making a difference, and we are doing it together.
God bless you. We'll see you soon.
God bless you.